Can I help you? You're the one who demanded you needed to go outside.
Oh, she came in and gave you a look.
She can't like. What do I pay you for?
She is following you. I bet you she's cold as shit. And she's gonna want to get up here.
No, she's warm.
Look at her. Look at her. She's like, what's going on, bitches? What's going on? Hey everyone, happy Halloween from your host here at Solidarity Geek. I am Gavin, joined by
Phil.
And this is a show where we talk about our life together and all the misadventures and fun times we have.
We've had some misadventures lately.
And so today we're going to talk about, this is our second Halloween episode of the week, we're going to talk about our favorite horror franchises. And we're going to classify them because there's so many. All-time best horror franchise, best monster franchise, best slasher franchise.
Oh shit.
Because...
Oh, has the star arrived?
Because, it's really unfair. You have monsters, you have slashers, then you have just horror franchise of all. And so, you're probably going to think about this a little more, but I can just tell you right now, my favorite horror franchise of all time is the Alien franchise. 1 and 2, somewhat 3, definitely not 4, not so much the 2 prequels.
So, like, you're talking about how in this franchise there are like 5 of 7 you don't like, but this is your favorite franchise.
It is, because...
Yes, the star has arrived.
It scares the shit out of me. Because it's it's the practical effects.
When we first got together, we had been dating for a couple months, maybe about a month, and he wanted the Alien game so bad. Alien Isolation. So I, being a sweet, trying to entice this guy to keep going out with me because he was such a cute boyfriend, bought him the game. And he played it like once, and it was too scary for him to play and finish.
Yeah, okay, so spiders scare me and aliens scare me. It's just something
Be more specific, xenomorphs scare you.
Aliens, yes. Like, what the fuck? I love the blob and shit like that. But, because there was something so terrifying about the way they did the first 2 movies. 1 with the practical effects, and 2, just the viciousness. It was amazingly done. Quit looking at yourself. And so, it's the sounds, the atmosphere. They brought that in Alien Isolation. When that alien jumped out of the ceiling the first time for that cutscene, I was done. Then I tried to play it, and it was stalking me at a break room. I was done. I could not handle it. So I then watched the IGN cutscenes where they put them all together to make the Alien Isolation movie. I would not have been able to finish that movie. When you were in space floating around, they were somewhat frozen on pieces of ship, and they started. No, I was not handling that ship. And then they did those fan films for the 40th anniversary, which were fucking amazing. But 1 and 2, I can't sleep with the lights off. I have to have them on. Everyone makes fucking fun of me because I will watch those movies all the goddamn time, and they scare the shit out of me every time.
He's never stopped being afraid of them.
I know. My mind goes, you know how this is done. You're a filmmaker. You've seen how this is done. You know this isn't real. But then my mind goes, fuck you, alien. It's so all-time best franchise, that's what I have to, that's what I attribute it to.
My favorite horror franchise is kind of on the newer side. I love what they did with the Conjuring universe, except for La Llorona.
I completely expect you to say Friday the 13th.
That's a slasher movie. That's my favorite slasher franchise. My favorite horror franchise, like I said, would be what they did with not Paranormal Activity, the Conjurings. Yeah, except La Llorona was just all kinds.
How do you tell a Mexican ghost story with white people?
I just thought it was dumb. There were so many places where it just didn't make any sense. But the Annabelle movies are good. The Conjuring movies are scary as shit.
I didn't really like 3 because they went away from doing a scary movie to more of a proof of concept reality movie. They had to prove it was real. It wasn't them really dealing with it. It was the different side of it, which was okay to see, but
Annabelle Comes Home is one of those movies that scares the shit out of me each time I watch it.
Yeah, see, I love Conjuring 1, I love Conjuring 2. I don't think I like The Nun, even though I love the Nun character.
The Nun was fine. It wasn't great, but
the Annabelle ones were fine.
The Annabelle movies were good, but La Llorona was just...
That was bad. That was just bad.
Just didn't make any sense.
It would have made sense had they done a Mexican movie.
I mean, a lot of the folklore that they had in there was really obscure, and a lot of the ways, like, it was just way too much of it was obvious setup. But I did like most of those movies in that little universe that they created.
So that was
So Monster.
She's down there licking feet. She doesn't want to talk about horror because the dog can't handle horror movies. Like, she loves watching them.
Yeah, y'all, our dog really does watch TV. Like, she watches what we watch, and she gets into it the way you would expect. When I watch my Ratchet TV shows, like where people are fighting on screen, she's up against the TV, barking and getting into the fight. If there's a dog on TV, she's like turning around to tell us what the dog is saying. She gets into it. But when we watch scary movies, it makes her mad.
Like she jumps. She's barking when people come out around corners. Like, she's like fucking into that shit. Like, don't go in there. Like, it's just crazy.
She's that person in the movie theater that you wish would leave.
Yeah. She's like, oh no! I've seen one of those movies where the people are like, oh no, Lord, she's gonna die when she opens that door. Yes, we all know that. It's a very big trope. We get it. We understand it.
And she's the one who lets us know it's coming.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at slasher films. Mine is hands down Scream 1 and 2.
You said franchise, so you can't see. This is the
slasher film. I love Scream.
We were talking about franchises. Okay, so you said Scream.
Yeah, I love.
But you hate
Scream.
2 of the 4 movies.
Well, because 3 and 4 were dumb.
They were
just like
fine.
Aliens 3 and 4 are kind of dumb.
They were fine. Scream 3 and 4 are not horrible. They're fine.
But yes, I think when it comes to slashers, Scream ushered in the new slasher era because we had all those. Like, we watched I Still Know What You Do Last. I Know What You Did Last Summer, and all these other slasher films that came about after that, because horror seems to follow this cycle. And he was asking me the other day, like, about monster movies. So because we're not in a monster movie cycle, we're in now the psychological horror.
There we go. You can say it.
Which is like the reality found footage stuff like Blair Witch and things like that.
Oh, The Ritual on Netflix. Goddamn.
We watched The Ritual on Netflix. That was fucking like, whoo, good, great fucking monster design. I fucking love that movie. So we're more into that psychological, mythological horror type of things. And now we're getting with, new Halloween, new Scream. We're probably going to see a new resurgence in some slasher films. And I want to go back to monster films because I think monster films are just amazing. We don't get nearly enough of those these days. But yeah, it's the cycles. Scream kicked off that slasher film cycle, the same way that, like, the classic Universal monsters kicked off the monster
cycle.
Yeah, it was the monster cycle. Then we had the atomic sci-fi horror cycle. Then we had Halloween kicking off that slasher cycle. Then Gremlins Critters kicking off the small monster movie cycle. And then you had like Scream, and it's this weird way that horror works.
Most genres do it. You have a lightning rod movie, and then everybody tries to, until there's no more money to be made, people will continue making those movies.
Yeah.
Then when people get tired of them, they look for the next lightning rod. If y'all couldn't tell from my jersey, my favorite slasher franchise is Friday the 13th. And unlike Gavin, I don't hate most of the movies in my franchise. The only one I really had a lot of beef with was the remake of it. And again, it's like I've said before with the remake, if there's something to leaving some things to the imagination, that the remake was like, oh no, we have CGI and everything else. We're going to make everything. You'll see every detail of every kill. And I don't need all that shit. I'm fine with how they did it in the 80s, where sometimes
you come for the gore, though. That's the point. You come for the gore.
I mean, sometimes, but it's not always. Not every kill has to be that over the top. Sometimes it's okay for you to see the knife shadow fall and hear someone scream, and just know in your head what happened to that person.
Oh, I tell you what, I love me some good kill scenes, and I love Jason X.
Yes, Jason.
That's probably my favorite of all of them because it's so fucking. When he turns into Cyborg Jason, like, I was sold. I was done. Yes, let's go. That is my favorite Friday the 13th. It's ridiculously stupid, and it's cheap beyond reason, but they had the balls to just throw it out and be like, let's have fun.
My favorite was part 7 with the girl with the telekinetic powers. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's the problem with some of these movies. You just keep them going for too long. You don't know what you're doing.
They know what they were doing.
Like,
they set it up just fine.
The fan film where Jason's actually like an evil devil worm.
That one, I'm not going to say I love. I'm not going to say I hate. I just accept it as part of the franchise. But it was the one that just almost didn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie. And I think the guy who directed it did it on purpose, but if you're going to make a new installment within a franchise, you can't try to not make a movie that fits into the franchise. And I think he purposely did that. And I think that might have been one of the last movies he directed. I don't know, but
yeah, no idea. So slasher
Monster.
films. Now we're gonna look at Monster. I want you start with Monster.
mine is the Leprechaun series, except for the remake. The reboot was just awful, but the others are just so much fun. Like when he goes to Vegas, that's great. When it's Leprechaun in the Hood and he's got the little magic flute that Ice-T uses to be a hit rapper, like there's so much fun. And
So here's where I'm seeing we have a lot of differences in what we look at is because you like the comedic horror and I like the more serious horror, which is why we argue about the Nightmare on Elm Street original remake.
I love the original Nightmare on Elm Street because I love the
remake.
comedy, and I hated the remake because it was like all of the energy and the giggliness that you could get from some of the, because they were scary, but you could laugh too. They remade it and it took all of that away and just turned it into a movie about a creepy pedophile who likes to murder people.
Which is, I thought was a far better take on it. I'm, of course, in the minority.
Yeah.
But yeah, you like Leprechaun is just, it's weird.
I
bet you he has that costume and he wears it on Halloween to freak people out.
Do you think this?
Well, one, he's like 1.5 foot tall. He's freaky anyways.
He's not 1.5 feet tall. And we will not speak ill of someone who played one of the Ewoks, goddammit.
Oh my god, he likes the Ewok movies, by the way.
Yes, I do. Battle for Endor.
That's for a whole Star Wars
Battle for
episode.
Endor.
So for me, it's kind of a tie because when it comes to classic monsters, I fucking love Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh god.
There's, and it's even better in 3D. Just the way they filmed that movie, like there's my favorite scenes where you see her swimming and the creatures below and the thing swimming in the seaweed. Like the shots they had in that movie were just goddamn beautiful. But all-time favorite, The Blob. I love the original. I love the 80s remake. That one is just, it was a nice twist on it. And they did a lot of good gore effects with The Blob in the 80s. Like, just wow.
I thought it was okay. I've watched it with you a couple times over the years. They're fine.
They're fine.
I mean, they're fine, but they're not scary. They're just kind of.
Well, I mean, people were scared of different things back in the day. And The Blob being, a thing from space was kind of at that beginning where they were doing like the whole sci-fi horror aspect of things. The atomic age horror. It scared people. And, you turn into germ warfare in the 80s, it fit. So, plus it had, the dude with the mullet on the bike. What the fuck is she staring at?
I don't think she's staring at anything. I think she's turning her back to us because she's mad at us. Like, her ears are up like she does when she's mad. And she's got her back pointed. She's doing her pouty behavior because we wouldn't let her on the couch.
Anyway, so for me, it is The Blob.
I'm trying to think if there's another monster sequel or series I like. I mean, I do. I love being some Ernest Scared Stupid, and I know
I'll classify that one as a monster movie. But again, it's a comedy.
It's a comedy. You laugh at it. Like I watched that with my nephews last weekend, and one of my nephews does this thing. Anytime you show him a new movie, he's gonna hate. He hates it. He knows exactly what it's going to be about. He did it when we showed him The Goonies. He hated it. He's not going to watch it. And then 10 minutes into the movie, he's super into it, and it turns into his new favorite movie ever.
Same thing with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah,
boy, he threw a fit, and then he had fun.
And so we put on Ernest Scared Stupid, and he was insisting, yelling at his dad that it was terrifying, and he was going to not be able to sleep. And then 10 minutes into the movie, he's just wrapped up in a blanket next to me and his cousin watching it, and then it was one of his new favorites. It's a classic.
And then, of course, Killer Clowns is also a great monster movie.
Yeah.
We're probably going to watch that later today.
In case you can't see his Killer Clown shirt.
I fucking love Killer Clowns. Like, it's
a great one.
I love gory horror. I love body horror. He doesn't really do body horror. Freaks him out. Like we watched that movie Bite.
No.
Where the chick got bit by something in a pond and she turned into like this insect queen, like a physical like body. It was fucking great.
Cannot do it. It freaks me out way too much.
He couldn't handle that one.
Those, for some reason, body horror scares me, but like monster movies and slashers and the Conjuring movies, those don't scare me. They're fun. The jump scares are cool. But body horror freaks me out, and it just like I don't want to eat anything for the rest of the day. Like it just grosses me out.
Yeah. So monster slashers. Anything else we should say what our favorite is? How about horror icon? Our favorite horror icon, and mine right now is new. I love Sam from Trick or Treat, the embodiment of fucking Halloween. I love that design because it freaked him out the first time he watched it.
Yeah.
I love the implication behind it. I love the fucked up nature it has in the movie. Like I fucking love Sam from Trick or Treat. Like hands down, I think is one of my favorite new horror icons of all time. Because like we were talking about the last episode with Halloween Kills, I used to love Michael Myers. Like he freaked the fuck out of me. And he's okay as a supernatural character. I get it, but I wish they would have done that with Jason. And yeah, all those are iconic, and it's hard to create a new icon. And I think Sam really cemented the new icon status.
And therein is the issue, and I'll tell you mine. My favorite horror icon, even though I love my Friday the 13th franchise, mine was Freddy. And if you're going to remake a movie and you're going to have an iconic character like Freddy, you can't replace him with someone who doesn't do anything the way he did it and is trying to take the character in a completely opposite direction. I think that's why that was the only one they made. Like with Freddy, he was iconic. There was the way he walked, the way he talked, the jokes he made, how crass he was, the way he killed people. And then you get to the remake and it's nothing like it. And it was just like, well, they shot Freddy in the face, and this time it took.
It was just missing the humor aspect of it. I always thought when I watched Freddy, when I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy should have been more terrifying. He should have been the jokester, like the Joker. I felt he should have, like Michael and Jason don't talk. They're unstoppable forces. Freddy was a person that was fucked up in the head. Should have been a little bit more terrifying.
But that's the thing. He's fucked up in the head. If he's making jokes while he's murdering people, then he's deranged as all fuck. That's why it added to the element of scary. If you have someone who's doing awful shit and he's quiet, then it's like, oh, he's fucked up. But if you're laughing and making jokes about it, you're fucked up on a different level. So that's how I took it.
See, I always took it a little different because, my house, it was more of the hardcore horror. Like, we watched all of those, but my house was very much, growing up, the more hardcore horror. See,
there was a movie from when I was a kid that I've never been able to find, and I only remember watching it once. And my mom was a den mother, and she had a bunch of Girl Scouts over, and it was on TV, and it was called The Devonsville Terror. And there was a scene with this woman tied to a Catherine wheel that was set on fire, and she was rolling down a hill. I can still see that in my head, and that scared the ever-loving shit out of me. But I've never seen it again.
And I have a story like that too, but mine has a happy ending because I remember watching this movie as a kid about a family moves in a house and they find a book and there's monsters after the book. And I remember this kitchen scene and everything, and I spent years. I was talking to people in horror societies that no one knew what I was talking about. And then one random day on fucking YouTube, a video comes up from this movie, and it's the chick in the bathtub with the creature from the Black Lagoon in it, like creeping around, and it was it. I recognize it. It's called Saturday the 14th, and it was on Amazon Prime, and I got to buy it. It is a comedy of sorts. It is very much a kids movie, but it's awesome that I'll be able to find that again because I started remembering all the pieces of it, and it was just, it was pretty good. We should probably watch that one so you can understand the weirdness because it's got like Jeffrey Tambor as Dracula. And it's just fucking weird. It's fucking weird. It is very weird. So yeah, I can't think of any other horror things to talk about movie wise.
No, we hit on my favorites.
We hit on all my favorites, like monster movies. We need to get back to the monster movie era. We really, really do.
Well, Tom Cruise kind of ruined that.
Okay, so the Tom Cruise movie wasn't terribly bad except for the Tom Cruise aspect of it.
If he's in it,
could have been
99%
okay.
of the time it's off.
Because I like Dracula Untold. I liked I, Frankenstein. I loved what they did with The Invisible Man.
Ugh.
You're just an awful person.
I wanted the Creature from the Black Lagoon movie, but we're probably never going to get that.
Someone's making that, but I'm kind of worried because when I read about how people want to approach some of these properties, I'm like, did y'all not get someone who cares or loves the property to come and do it? And then I would think, well, they did that with Friday the 13th. We got Demon Worms. So,
yeah.
They need to make some new ones. Like, I always get really excited when, like, It Comes at Night. There's no monsters. I hate that horror of the mind and people are mean, like the monster type of things. I think it's a cop out. I hate when they cop out on movies. Contact was the worst cop out of a movie ever. When she got the alien planet, it's a bunch of flies in the form of her dad. We thought this would be appealing to you. No, show me the fucking alien that sent the shit over there for us to go visit. Like, show me that shit. Don't do this horrors of the mind bullshit, because like I think, one of my other favorites that we don't talk enough about is Saw.
Oh yeah,
because that one just kept going for as cheesy as they were, I loved them from beginning to end.
I haven't seen the latest one, and I've heard awful things about the latest one.
I've heard mixed things about the latest one, but that's one of those ones, it kind of went on a little too long. They're like, okay, we should I think we should stop things and move on to new things, but I really want to get back to the monster movie era. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Can you watch where we finished?
I know where we finished because I saw the arrow cut pop up.
So where are we? I'll just follow your lead.
Oh. Okay. So it's weather outside. Our internet decided to go out for really quick. So, I want to get back to monster movies, and we're gonna watch more horror movies leading up to Halloween.
Every day.
Every day. He just decided that's what we're gonna do, and we'll probably watch Sleepaway Camp today. We'll watch Scream today. I definitely watch Scream today, because today, as we're recording this, is actually our anniversary, which we're gonna talk about next episode. So it'll be lots of fun. He looks so happy with himself, doesn't he? Like, look, he's all... Ha ha ha!
7 years.
All right, so that's it. We'll see you guys next episode. Thank you guys for watching. So I'm Married to Geek. Remember, send us your questions if you have them, because we're going to do some Ask Us Anything episodes. And just share the love and comment away. Let us know your thoughts, how your relationships match ours, if they match ours, the issues you have that we talk about, all those things. Because, like I said, we've done some heavy episodes. We've done some fun episodes. And we're just going to keep going.